Blessings, everyone. It's time for the new Light Astrology and incoming wave. I've actually decided to put both topics of discussion in the same video because the cards that we went over for the incoming wave and the astrology that I'm looking at here really are syncing up, and it just feels redundant to make two different videos. And because a lot of these influences are coming in, some of them of course are here to stay. The incoming wave, as you know, we're talking about things that are integrating into our reality experience, and they are a part of nature now. And then the astrology, we've got stuff that's going to be here for this week or the next 2 weeks. And of course, we've got the eclipse, which is both bringing in permanent shifts as well as heavily influencing the next 3 to 4 months. I felt it would be better to make a long presentation talking about all of it. It's going to be difficult to absorb all that information if we are kind of bouncing around and skipping around. Okay, make sure that it is getting properly absorbed. That being said, I also want to remind everybody that I've got a sale going on right now until the 21st, Solstice. It's my end of the year super sale. You know I always do one, and 30-minute consultations are now only $55, marked down from $77, and you can do that by appointment. I also have done so with gift certificates, so if you can't schedule an appointment during the time of the sale, you can always get a gift certificate to redeem later and still get the sale discount now. And you can do that at my website, integrativemysticism.com, or just follow the links down below. And if you're ever interested in attending a Patreon live, you just got to go sign up for my Patreon. You can, again, follow the links below for that there. So what we're going to be talking about for this video, we've got a ton, okay? And of course, I'm going to be looking down at my notes. And if you all know me by now, you know I much prefer to do pen and paper notes. It's just better to digest. It's better to light ground that way. I don't do digital notes if I can help it. So I want to start off going over the incoming wave with the tarot cards that we shared on Tuesday, and then I want to segue into the astrology. So for those of you that might not normally watch an incoming wave video, incoming waves are not here one week, gone the next weekly general horoscopes. We are talking about the new energies and new frequencies that are basically becoming a part of our reality experience right now. They are integrating right now and increasing more and more in prevalence, intensity, and in influence from the week in discussion going forward. It's all very quantum, actually. In a lot of cases, sometimes we'll be talking about things that we're already experiencing right now. I can definitely attest to some of the things we're going to be talking about. So what did we get? Well, we got the Nine of Wands, Page of Cups, the Four of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords. This actually presented, the first message that came through with this was this awareness that the tide is going out when it comes to a great deal of atmospheric density or spiritual density, energetic density, that kind of held what you might consider to be the old reality, the old paradigm, in a cohesive form. And when we say the density is going out, we're also talking about energies that are kind of left in the atmosphere without any kind of core, whether that core be a thought form or a soul or a consciousness of any specific kind. Because when you're dealing with atmospheric and energetic density, you might be dealing with just sort of like a wave or a cloud. You know, in the past, you would sometimes need to go through and pay attention to what exactly was maybe making up the ecosystem of your space that was not coming from you, and it was not coming from another person. Was it something kind of left there. This tide going out is a major clearing of a lot of the lattice works, spiritually speaking, energetically speaking, vibrationally speaking, however you translate all of this to yourself, that actually held a lot of atmospheric density and a lot of those atmospheric forms in place. It's sort of like, again, letting the tide out. All of the pollution, anything that was not carrying any kind of coherent vibration, or again, any kind of coherent core, getting cleared out of our space, cleared out of our atmosphere, which actually is quite important because this also changes the manifestation time from initiation or creation to manifestation, as well as the integrity or how the integrity of a specific energy form or a specific creation, ceremony, or however you're going to be sending things out there, your thoughts, your emotions, it changes everything about how that actually comes to be, how that actually survives out in the world once it's actually sent out of your fields or sent out of your work. It's not going to be rolling down the road, picking up every bit of gunk like a gumball on the street anymore. There's it's much cleaner air, much cleaner space, right? The removal of that hard sea that was a great deal of that fourth dimensional consciousness, fourth dimensional reality is going away right now. But after we get through this eclipse, that's going to be much more apparent even to folks that are not really even taking those steps in their process, because we are seeing with this as well a huge collective reality perception shift that is going to become more and more, let's just say, integrated, processed, and lived with or accepted collectively, especially between the 14th, the eclipse, and about mid-January. So this is something that is hitting everybody, right? There's no dodging this. There's no getting underground. There's no crawling back to 4D or 3D. There's no bypassing. And it's I mean, why would you want to? Why would you want to skip this, right? This is amazing stuff. We've also got assets, tools, and events supporting the higher self priority and creations presenting for support in a personal as well as collective paradigm shift. We talk about assets, tools, and events supporting the higher self priority. All year we've been talking about embodiment, right? In the incoming waves, we've been talking about higher self, higher level embodiment, higher level integration. We've been talking about the oversoul as well. What's happening with this is that we have your life stream going in a way where suddenly you are getting guided away from maybe certain storylines, distractions, habits, patterns, circles, to step away into what has been your higher self, multidimensional self's ultimate priority, Oversoul's priority. You maybe heard me say a couple of times this year talking about the Oversoul override or the Oversoul verdict and things like that. This is where the support for a lot of those who heeded the call, and even support for those who might just be a bit timid, be a bit scared, but still hearing the call to get the incentive to go forward with it. When we talk about events, tools, assets, yes, we're talking about maybe material support showing up as a synchronicity, people, as well as, of course, a change of circumstance, maybe an opportunity, an opening here and there. A lot of people are going to be finding that the life that they have been carrying on is something that they can actually now completely close the book on. And what's going to happen with that is that when you close the book on that, you're actually going to also understand more about the truth of your own heart, the truth of your own soul expression, right? Getting to know, as we talked about with the Gemini lunar eclipse, getting to know the soul that chooses to incarnate in the first place. Not just one past life, but what soul is actually doing the choosing, the real true you, This is where a lot of these tools and supports and assets are going to come to also illustrate and illuminate that for you. We've got new skills presenting with synchronic roads and routes with this as well. So new skills, this is turning on new spiritual abilities. This is actually activating spiritual abilities that are not often documented. We're not just talking about, oh, this person's becoming intuitive. It's way more, it's way more evolved and way more skillful than like say being empathic, because intuition and being an empath and all that stuff, that's really kind of more like second nature to having a soul and a body. We're talking about things that are really higher level than even a lot of things that maybe we might have been talking about in esoteric schools, magic schools, mystery schools, things like that. And you might not necessarily be able to give them a name. And if you can't give them a name, just explore it, right? We're getting away, really, we should be getting away from the whole, if I can't find someone else who's documented this, I'm not going to explore it kind of thing, right? This isn't church. You don't need to see someone else go first in order to explore a new part of yourself. Whatever these skills are that present, it's coming from you. It's a part of you. You are downloading and integrating, unpacking and installing more of yourself and more of your own higher abilities. Who cares if nobody else can do it, right? That's kind of the point. And so pay attention to what is happening. Some of these things will be more multidimensional. Some of these things will be expanding on abilities you already have. Some of you may be getting things that you've never worked with until this last couple of years. If you've ever, again, if you know me, the topic of like spiritual travel, multidimensional travel, astral travel, translocation, that's never been something I've ever claimed to be able to do, but that has been such a powerhouse for me this year. For those of you that might already be telepathic, for those of you that might already be in a space where you can do things like mediumship, prepare for more layers of that to come on, higher ranks of it, more expanded expressions of those abilities turning on. Got rapid shifts in reality perception individually and collectively as guidance realm contact and oversight heightens. Guidance realm oversight and contact. So we talk about guidance realms. So we're talking about your own spiritual guidance, higher aspects of you, as well as the guidance that is working with and for and a part of your oversoul, your soul family, just again in the non-physical. So what we have here is this shift in reality perception coming in a couple of different ways. One, you've got the ability to actually look at multiple stories that led, or multiple chain reactions going backwards that led to a certain circumstance now, as well as alternative timelines. I actually had an instance this morning where I'm pretty certain somebody that I have not spoken to in years and have not even seen in person since 2014 was reaching out to me. And as I was kind of feeling into his energy and, reassuring him that it was okay, you can reach out to me if you want, I was actually seeing like an entire alternative timeline to our connection, which was actually pretty nice. Kind of showing up and being like, look, this is what could have been. It's, we don't dwell on it. We're not going to overprocess it because that never helps anyone in their spiritual path. But I was able to actually see what was integrating into the present. And so it's kind of like the past doesn't matter. Whatever this was, it doesn't matter. Everything is coming so quantum into the now. Really changed my reality perception of that situation. But also, you're going to start seeing things. A lot of us have already started to see things, see visitors, have contact, communicate, right? Let that actually integrate. Y'all wanted to shift into a higher timeline. Y'all wanted to have go into a new paradigm. Y'all have been posting in hashtag 5Ding everything constantly. Get into it. Allow it to happen. It wasn't just something that you said to be a part of a group, right? We've got the high vibe teams and communities assembling to commence with great works among contemporaries. Contemporaries being the key word. So this is this week, and then especially going all the way through into February, you're going to notice that your contemporaries are going to be coming around you to form groups in order to get to work on a unified project. Now, contemporaries are most likely, but not 100%, going to be usually oversoul connections. So again, soul family in form. We talk about contemporaries. Now we're also talking about people of equal level, equal skill set. I cannot stress this enough. This next few weeks, I do not recommend that you dim down, power down your light. It's not about judgment of who's where in their journey or anything like that, but you really want to be taking your courses, if that makes sense. Your classes, doing your work. Do not be skipping out on your evening meditations, your daily devotionals. One of the things that I've been doing every night is I've been unplugging the Wi-Fi every night, a few hours before I go to bed. Sometimes I won't plug in the Wi-Fi until I know I have an appointment or something like that. I'll, leave my phone in my other room, get another clock to be my alarm in the morning, just to minimize any kind of energetic or electromagnetic interference to be able to integrate what I can. In fact, if you can, turn off your Wi-Fi. Just turn off your Wi-Fi when you go to bed at night. If you can do it, if you know you can do it, just for the next, 2.5 to 3 weeks. Let's all just do it together and feel that difference. Really get in there, because when you stop baking yourself in electromagnetic fields, if you want the contact, you want to have the visuals or the audios, however your energy fields work, you want to be able to feel those presences, you want to be able to witness your energy go through these changes, pay attention to where you might be, needing to allow for as much clean atmospheric energy as possible. And it's kind of like in the old days where when a person wanted to have contact or wanted to do their work, right, they would turn off the electronics. It interfered. This is definitely a big opportunity for everyone to make a jump, as well as, get into a space where they are heightening their ability to stay in that state. Definitely want to consider turning that off. But also, commencing with great work with contemporaries also requires you to honor, again, what that great work might be. And so there's no good in being being in the realm of wanting to go through a personal conscious evolution or a spiritual ascension if your foundation is still rooted in something low vibe, right? Or if it's still mired in something that is a part of a paradigm that is crumbling and getting, pulled apart at the scaffolding right now. And so I would definitely, you want to get the most out of this, please do that. Let's all do that together. # no Wi-Fi, at night, just unplug the Wi-Fi every night, 2 hours before you go to bed, and don't plug it in until 2 hours after you wake up. Let's all do that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. One of the things that I also wanted to mention was command and invitation dynamics instantly bringing results. So remember the story I was talking about just a minute ago where we were talking about the guy who was reaching out to me. Command and invitation dynamics, if you want to communicate spiritually from the heart, right? We don't send messages from the third eye. We don't. The third eye is meant to receive information and process information. If you are trying to send communications through the third eye as opposed to the heart, you're sending a lower vibration than what is actually going on atmospherically. And so you might actually be accidentally repelling people. So don't do that anymore. Send it through the heart. The command and invitation dynamics bringing results, you might actually find that you are able to invite your contemporaries in a matter of days, if not sooner, right? If you want to call in I want to call in the people that are the most complementary inclusions to this project I'm doing, this journey that I'm on. Again, focusing on contemporaries. We're not going to try and, sneak into something that is above where we are at our level in our journey. We are humble and honest about where we are in our journey. We're not pretending to be super, super high, and we're not dimming ourselves to be super, super low. Just call in those contemporaries. It'll be there. Command and invitation dynamics also work in other areas, right? We talk about manifestation being easier as well. You want to command a shift somewhere in your life. This is you're going to start to see things go faster because, again, we're not moving through as much density. There's less atmospheric and energetic resistance or contribution in an uncomplimentary or unsupportive way than there was before. Let's talk about the astrology, right? Because that's what's integrating right now and is going to become more and more prevalent as we go through the end of the year and even more intense as we begin January and beyond. So let's talk about what's going on with this particular week. This all has to do with the eclipse, but I want to get the not eclipse stuff out of the way and then use the eclipse as kind of a closer. Okay. So with this week, we've got Venus in Scorpio, sextile to Jupiter in Capricorn. So remember, Venus in Scorpio is all about liberation of our own intimacy. It is a presentation of the ascended divine feminine. And with Venus in Scorpio, the sign of the depths, making love to the shadow, not necessarily making love to the shadow in terms of doing something uncomplimentary or unhealthy, but bringing the shadow to love, bringing the shadow to light. Anything that we have that kind of unhealthy relationship within ourselves with something that actually is not unhealthy at all is going to come up to be cleared, but also to be reconciled within the self. And Venus sextile to Jupiter is very interesting, is because it's this embrace and this love, this complete unconditional self-love that also begets this response from the external. Jupiter is the external response. It's also going to be expanding the amount of resources, the amount of attention, the amount of maybe, let's just say, backup we are getting from our higher levels and, yes, our oversoul on ground and, again, in the non-physical, that will be responding to that amount of love and those level ups that we are having here. Because Venus in Scorpio is attracting opportunities to not only deepen intimacy, right? We're bringing out the true self. Nobody's pretending to be somebody else. Nobody's ditching their soul to take on a fake identity, right? That whole bad side of the new age dynamic, it's just kind of like, look, we need to detox it. The Venus in Scorpio is bringing support for the truths that, you need to embrace about yourself, about, again, your spirituality, Scorpio, highly spiritual, your personal intimacy, your relationship with your body, your relationship with your sexuality, your relationship with others on a deep level without having, the artificial representational self or the artificially empowered self being the barrier to true intimacy. And Jupiter is bringing the expansion of contacts and opportunities to have the relationships and the connections and the, again, the material surroundings that actually resonate with the you on the inside, the fully self-realized self that is actually living, operating, loving, working, and serving completely true and honest inside and out. This will bring a lot of work changes. Some of you may be finding that this is going to make some huge positive turns when it comes to the work you do, whether it's, a project you're working on or something you're doing in service to others. Yes, when it comes to romance, when it comes to love, when it comes to intimacy, we're seeing a huge rewrite of a lot of that, especially when it comes to cultural control programs, tradition control programs, and all that kind of dogma. Really, again, getting the right now. We're seeing this bring an opportunity for a fresh take on love and work alike. It's going to be a big theme of this week. We've also got Mercury trine Mars, which really syncs up with what we were talking about before with the assets, tools, and events supporting the higher self priority showing up. Mercury is in Sagittarius, the sign of expansion, higher intelligence, heightened intelligence, advanced thinking, multidimensional thinking, again, quantum experience, quantum exposure. And then we've also got Mars, the divine ascended masculine, an aspect of the divine ascended masculine in the pioneer sign Aries. And so there is the opportunity to hastily move forward with something where we may not have necessarily acquired all of the tools, the assets, or connections altogether. Right now we're starting to see, oh, this is the creation you wanted to make. This is the manifestation you wanted to have. You didn't know how it was all going to come together. Okay, we're going to take steps A through M, and they're all just going to show up in the same box. This is a really, really fast, it's not a fast solution in terms of something like slapdash, but it's a fast clearing of a great deal of obstacles or maybe requisites that you might have had to deal with. Now, this could be also opportunities to clear those requisites. You may find out that there is a way to, again, commence with a project or a journey much sooner than was estimated even. We've also got Mercury opposite the North Node this week. Mercury conjunct the South Node, of course, then. Still in Sagittarius, South Node in Sagittarius, and Gemini North Node, right? Gemini North Node, we talked about that a little bit with the Gemini lunar eclipse video, changing the way we compute, right? Changing how we shift things. Well, with Mercury conjunct the South Node in Sagittarius opposite the North Node, there's also going to be an opportunity to eliminate a great deal of dualistic false perception, or the confrontation of maybe a duality construct within the self, whether it's splitting into black and white, or maybe it's projecting the artificial concept of distance when it comes to your intelligence itself, your spiritual intelligence, you in form as well as source, right? You and your higher self are all emanating from the same source. Your multidimensional self, same source. Angelic self, same source. Starseed, whatever, it doesn't matter, all the same source. We are getting a chance to collapse. All right, for whoever's ready, because I do feel like this might be something that really depends on the readiness, the work ethic, and the discipline, right? And the foundation upon which anyone was actually working with their spiritual practice, working on their path. But this is an opportunity to completely close the artificial distance or the imposed artificial distance on all one's spiritual levels and layers and realities, and thus, of course, giving them not only more power, more connection, more energy, but to be able to embody more of that divine aspect that is the almighty I am. And so we have to confront that, where maybe with Mercury opposite the North Node, it's not duality in terms of, oh, source, God, infinite creators way up there, and I'm way down here, or my higher self's in another galaxy, and I'm right here. Maybe it's not that kind of duality. Maybe it's the kind of duality where, you shut it on and off. The I'm on now, I'm off now. I'm really high vibe now, but when I'm around these people, I just kind of turn it off and go and be something lower. Or when I'm triggered, I lose my spiritual this, or when I'm in this state, or when I'm consuming this thing, or when I'm doing this thing, or I'm in this activity. Maybe it's the on-off switch that is getting a chance to be eliminated. I do see the on-off switch getting eliminated for a lot of the collective anyway as a result of this. But with this Mercury opposite the North Node, it's the first wave of the on-off. We're just removing the switch altogether, right? This is just taking the first screw out of the light switch. So a lot of people are going to lose their on-off switch and stay on. And again, this is going to come up once more, and then we're going to see more. And then as collectively that becomes, especially again throughout January, that becomes the energy that's always there, kind of, we're clearing and dissolving the on-off switch. We're clearing, dissolving the on-off switch. That will eventually be everybody. And I feel like, again, it's going to be a lot of folks right now, a lot of folks at the end of December, a lot of folks in January, and then just from January going forward, it's just going to be this wave hitting everybody, and just kind of like, come on, come on, come on. So that's where we go with that. I look forward to it because it would just be really nice to see a world that didn't have that switch. And so I'm really excited. I'm glad it's happening right now. We also have, of course, then our solar eclipse. Just to wrap up with the solar eclipse itself. Sun and moon in Sagittarius. Again, the sign of expanded intelligence, multidimensional intelligence. With the sun and the moon, this is the follow-up of the huge alterations to the way we're computing what we have access to in form that we were already beginning with that Gemini eclipse. This gateway in and of itself, again, will really start to do its number the weekend of the eclipse, just leading up to it, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But it'll kick off with a bang, especially between the 14th and about mid-January. What's happening is now comes the rush because we can handle it. We can handle it without having it obliterate our consciousness to be able to perceive, right? Changing our reality perception, but also to have all of the circuitry of the physical self, of these levels, start to present, act, function, vibrate, and perform as the higher multidimensional expanse that we are. When we have a solar eclipse, right, it's a new beginning, new moon, new beginning. But with the sun and the moon in Sagittarius at the same time, it's also a completely new bit of hardware. Now, when we say hardware, I'm just using, again, vernacular that's kind of right on the ground. It's not really like new hardware. It kind of is, actually. But what's happening is you're starting to see your body, your brain, your heart, your energy fields start to operate as they do on that 60, 70, 90 level. And yes, there might be sometimes, especially over the course of the December holiday period and even into mid-January, where you might feel completely fried every once in a while, right? You're doing your energy fields are going through a tremendous workout. But very much like the incoming waves, we're also seeing new abilities present, new stories present. This is also going to, what I've been kind of looking into as I've been feeling into this, I've been kind of projecting myself into this because I love to go in and get, appetizers. I love to take samples of this energy myself. I feel very strongly that a lot of the information that's coming through is going to give everyone the ability to zoom out of their life. You are understanding more about everything you've ever been. Completely alter how your own reality is actually performing at this point in time and going forward. Everything is coming into the now. I do feel very, very strongly with the sun and the moon in Sagittarius, we're also going to be embodying levels that are outside of time dynamics. And I'm not the only person who has been mentioning the time stops that have been becoming more increasingly prevalent throughout the month of December. Time stops and deja vu, right? We are completely now merging with the higher self's original timeline. That's already happened, but we're also now getting visibility, audibility, and of course the ability to fully comprehend and take on and process that information of everywhere we could have been, everywhere we have been, everywhere we're going. And what used to be considered information overload, right? This huge mind reality opening experience is now completely available. And so it's going to make a lot of sense, I think, especially as we go towards solstice and the grand conjunction, observing everything in that multidimensional way, see something for its singular truth as well as its infinite truths. I'm actually seeing as a result of this, a lot of folks are the majority of the majority minority part, where we talk about majority spiritually active, awake, working, capable, and advancing, versus maybe awake and waiting, is flipping, right? We don't have that. That's not going to work anymore. And for those that might be awake but inactive, just be prepared, if there's a convergence of all your angels going, girl, come on, time to walk your talk. You don't be surprised. I've had that happen myself a lot, especially when it comes to certain things that I've just been kind of like, yeah, that's I wasn't interested in that ability. Well, here you go. So it just be prepared. You'll see what's going on there. The eclipse itself and the sun is also on a, again, collective and external level. We are seeing the removal of a lot of not only personal veils, which we talked about with the Gemini eclipse, that was really big one, the Gemini eclipse, but atmospheric interference, right? That density going out, like we've talked about the cards, but atmospheric interference that would maybe jam the frequencies or maybe scramble the information, scramble the light, scramble the presentation of energy, right? Visible energy, or messages that are occurring on a more quantum level, things that are not being spoken or typed. This is bringing complete clarity. You're coming into a divine expression of yourself, and if you're doing the work, then you're going to be able to do anything you want. That's how it's going to affect your life. Another thing I wanted to mention with this solar eclipse is that this new beginning is also going to create a completely different sense of 2020 and 2021 for a lot of your journeys. For those of you that have either had plans or maybe had your plans wiped off the board by 2020, if you have a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan, or you're trying to maybe kind of calendar out, schedule out, parse out your 2021, this is going to reveal a great deal of what your next couple of months is going to look like, what you're really creating, what your higher self's priority is, what your highest trajectory is. You're going to be getting a huge focus on, not only the direction that you are being urged and supported to take, whether, again, it comes in how you perform, how you live, how you work, but also what you can create to live in and experience throughout 2021 from that multidimensional level. Where is your higher self doing it, right? What is your future self doing? What is your ascended self doing? Where are they living? Who are they with? If they're with anybody, what's your Oversoul collective doing? What is that connection doing right now? All of that, closing maybe a lot of obstacles or a lot of priorities, closing a lot of relationships that are holding back the ability to actually stay mentally and emotionally and spiritually detoxed and available to be able to have this experience. All of those answers, right? We're getting the Teacher's Edition book now, are coming right now. You can lean into it right now, but it will be more, I guess you could say, the dispensation will be occurring throughout the 14th to mid-January. So really, really cool stuff. So that's what I've got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And if you ever want to get a session with me or take advantage of the sale, go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com.